enough. Gus Bedwell has a real issue problem. I'm going to educate him if it kills me. What have I said about cell phones? Telephones.
Keep them on. Answer them.
Answer them. I don't care if it's no more.
What'd you say, Victor?
A divinely inspired example. It's in the whole.
I know what he's about to say, though.
Answer it. I don't care if it's a 10-second. I'm in a class. I'm doing this. I'll get back with you as soon as it's over. People are tired, and especially veterans with PTSD, with the emotional problems, get answering machines. I'm going to tell you sometimes, and you've all run into it with VSOs, 3, 4, 5, 6 days and not get a call back. You can see where the stress level goes. Mm-hmm. We're here to be their advocate. We can't be an advocate if we leave them on an answering machine or we get an email from them and we don't reply. We lose the veteran. We have failed at what we do. Don't let the veteran fail because of something we didn't do that we could have done in just 10 seconds. Say, we'll get back with you. I can't stress it enough. You have a cell phone. You have a cell phone. You have one. You have one. You have your wife's cell phone. You have a cell phone. You have a cell phone. You're going to get a cell phone. Just like this. I'm in a class. I'll come right back to you. Okay. That's how easy it is.
They're aware that their cell phone and home phone numbers are posted on the website, right?
Yep. All of you are exposed on our webpage. You've got your cell phone, you've got your email, everything is on there. So you'll be getting calls from wherever because people are using our webpage. Mm-hmm. And they're picking it up. It's very important. Be the advocate that we promised each other we'd be. I've got your 6. When they call you, they're hoping you got their 6. And that's how we're going to pass it on. And we're always going to be a family and encourage them just like I've encouraged you. I'm doing something for you. The cost that I'm going to charge you is very expensive. I need you to tell me right now that you're going to pass it on to another veteran. You're going to be a part of Vets Helping Vets. I don't know of anybody that has ever said, no, I'm not. So it's very encouraging that they do that. I want all of you to remember that veteran needs your help. And that's what we're here for. If you lose heart, you feel like you can't do it, get them to somebody that can help. I ask you at that point in time, please, with no disgrace to any one of you, retire yourself. If no more than just saying, I'm retired, but I can get you to someone that can help. Do that and let them move on. But don't sit there and let them think that you're there and then you're not.
What about, we're on a website. You said we have a webpage.
Vets Helping Vets HQ. HQ.
HQ.
And remember, it's Vets Helping Vets HQ, and every time you don't add HQ, it's a quarter in the bucket.
Okay.
Okay, get the mic. The mic. And then I've got to move on quick.
So there's a website, Vets Helping Vets HQ. And this guy comes from Delaware. And he posted it up. He saw this Vets Helping Vets HQ, and he gives me a phone call. How do I help him, being in Delaware? How do I assign him? What
I can answer that if you want me to. Okay, so I don't need the mic, but I can answer that. On the internet, if you write in state VA departments, right, you can find any department of VA that's a state department out in the system. I think that has the state numbers too. Yeah. So, but there's a 2-part answer to this question because I do this all the time. First step is find the resource for them. Just because they're in Delaware, it doesn't matter. They're a vet, they're your brother, they're your sister, they need help, right? I don't care where you're going to school. If you ask me an education benefit question, I'm going to answer it, okay? And I tell my vets that. I tell my staff that. I tell everybody I work with. It's about answering the questions and helping a vet. Then there's the second part of this, follow up. Hey, you called a week ago and you asked about State of Delaware's veterans program. I sent you information. Did it work out? What's happening? Are you filing a claim? Remember, that's that relationship again, right? And they may even call you a couple more times. I helped a vet that was in Hawaii for a couple of years. Our agency did not represent veterans out of the state of Oregon. He was already represented by us when he was in Oregon a number of years ago. We still had representation, but he lived in Hawaii. He didn't feel comfortable going to Hawaii State Department of Veterans Affairs, and he had a really nasty appeal situation going on. All right, whatever, you're still represented by me. And I explained to him, I can't come and do your hearing, and if you want to do it in Oregon, you got to fly here, and I'll take care of your hearing here in Oregon, right? And he said, you know what, I'd rather have it dealt in Oregon. I'll do what I need to do to have it dealt in Oregon, and I'll come fly there. He never had to, but for a couple of years, I dealt with him that way. He's a vet. He needed help. I had the resources, right? Then there's been a number of them that I've referred out. And then it's that follow-up. Did you get what you need? Oh, you didn't? Well, let me get on top of that for you. That makes sense? Okay. Go. Mike. And then I've got to get to the disability benefits questionnaire.
Okay, I have a question. It goes back to the Form 21-526.
Okay.
Now, say you got someone that's not computer savvy. They don't
Right.
feel comfortable doing it. It's still a print. Is it still a printable form that you
Yes.
can have them? You can sit there with them. They fill it out. Get a packet together before you go to the VSO.
Yes.
If they just refuse to do the website thing, these are still forms we can print out
Yes.
and have them.
Yeah, you can go to VA Forms, and if you put in VA Forms into Google, it'll bring you to the search engine on the VA's website of all their forms. And I would encourage you that if you, as a matter of fact, I'm going to show you this real quick. This is something I do. I have right here on my desktop is something I brought over for ODVA. Is I have right there is a VA Form shortcut. Okay, I have probably 100 different VA forms that I've used over the 10 years I've been working with veterans, loaded right in there, pre-fillable forms, the whole 9 yards. So if a vet, if my internet crashes, I can still print this form out. I can still complete it online, save it to my desktop, print it out later. You know, any of that kind of thing. It's optimal, and this is one of the things that I wanted to end with on the VA forms piece before I get into disability benefits questionnaires. It's optimal to do it online because when you submit it at the end, there is a submission number that you get that says your form has been submitted, here is the submission number. And that submission number is your proof to preserve that effective date. You see what I'm saying? So the first time you help a veteran get all the way through one of those forms and they go to submit, there'll be a screen that says, congratulations, you've submitted, your submission number is, right? You can print off, huh?
Save that number.
Yep. Well, you don't even have to save that number because here's the beauty in it. Print off a copy of that form for the veteran because it'll allow them to do it. And in the bottom left-hand corner of every form that they submitted to the VA will be that submission number. And now here's a reference number that you can go back to with the VA. You could go, and it'll have a date on it. That's the beauty in it. It's almost like a fax confirmation sheet because it'll show that it was electronically submitted on such and such date, and here's their submission number. That holds the VA to that date for preserving the effective date.
One other.
He's getting it.
Say you've the veteran, you've printed out the forms, they've filled them out. You're near the end of the month. Is it out of line for you to sit down with the veteran if they've already filled the forms out and plug it into the computer? Say like you're almost at the deadline and you want to make sure the claim is submitted.
I would almost tell you if you're having to plug it into the computer for the vet, that could be borderline you submitting it for the vet, and you want to be careful with that. I like the vet plugging it in themselves. You know, if they created the username and password and somehow it was uploaded and then submitted and the vet's there and doing it and part of it, then you could probably get away with it.
I was just wondering because
I'm not going to tell you that you should submit the form, but if the form was submitted and the vet was there and created the username and password, and you were encouraging and helping in that process, and as long as you're not doing something you're not supposed to be doing for the vet, I don't think there's any harm.
All right.
Do you tracking?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. Let's talk about disability benefits questionnaires. I would like to talk a long time about this, but I'm going to talk about just for a few minutes because we only have a few minutes, okay? And I still have a presentation that I want to do at the end for our folks here. Disability benefits questionnaires. The VA has really changed how they do compensation and pension claims. They went from this all-encompassing, lengthy, wishy-washy kind of pension exam or comp and pension exams. Not all of them are wishy-washy, but like PTSD, for example. There's certain things that they're supposed to hit, and not all the times would the evaluators do that, right? To this more streamlined checkbox type system. Now, some could argue that the checkbox system is really great. Some could argue it's not so great. And the reason I'll say why it's great is because it's very clear and concise on what the VA is looking. They're taking the Code of Federal Regulation, right? And they're putting it in language for doctors to be able to figure this out, right? So it also limits what the doctor can and can't do, which could be good or bad. On the flip side, I'm hearing that it's gotten so streamlined that they've learned how to take these questionnaires and feed the answers into a computer system, and the computer system actually rates the individual.
Really?
Which could be positive, could not be positive, because what are the things where it doesn't allow the doctor to maybe say some of those other things that might be relevant to the claim? It only looks at checkbox things. So there's some pluses and there's some negatives of this, is what I'm going to tell you. But here's a huge plus that I think. Your vet does not understand the condition they have and don't understand how to explain it to the doctor. Ischemic heart disease is an example. You could go in here and grab the disability benefits questionnaire for ischemic heart disease. You could pull it up. This is a Marine internet, obviously. Come on.
No,
If it was Air Force, it would already been up.
it's actually Star Wars.
Oh.
Verizon.
Oh. Well, I have a Verizon phone. It works great. Come on. When it pulls up, what's nice about this questionnaire is it's in specific and clear and concise language that the vet can now take this to their civilian doctor. The civilian doctor does not have to decipher VA language to provide a medical diagnosis, a medical report. The VA doctor now knows, okay, you need to know about, like, back, for instance. A lot of times doctors will write these letters that say his back really hurts. You know, it goes along that line, right? The VA doesn't care about your back pain. They care about range of motion. So if you pull up the disability benefits questionnaire for musculoskeletal injuries or spine injuries, it will ask, how much forward flexion do they have? How much side? Now you're helping the doctor write a letter or answer medical evidence that meets the VA standard to help with the disability claims benefits. Yes?
Gus, such as the ischemic heart disease that you take to your doctor, even your private doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I've had 3 in the last 6 months that we've done on
Okay.
ischemic heart disease. They have actually, with this form signed by the doctor, the VA has actually bypassed the CMPs.
And that is a VA rater who read the law, who understands that you don't have to have a CNP exam if the medical evidence does 2 things: adjudicates the claim and effectively gives you enough evidence to rate the claim. So now you've fast-tracked. Now you've gathered more evidence. Now you've helped the veteran be more successful in a quicker amount of time.
And in doing that, just as an example, those 3 claims that I did in the last 6 months went through in less than 60 days.
Mm-hmm.
3 months after.
Right. Which somebody mentioned earlier. Your name again, sir?
Stan.
Stan? Stan mentioned earlier they heard on the radio about the $2,800 cap But he also mentioned they heard that an average claim process 262 days. Stan, I will tell you that is correct. The second half, the 262 days, that I never addressed earlier. But yes, that is correct. That they're taking much longer. They're taking 18 to 24 months for an initial claim, simplistic claim to process. So if you as an advocate are helping your veteran get the medical evidence they need and get it in a manner that is easy enough for the veteran's rater to read, how quick do you think that claim is going to go through the process? Probably quicker than the average claim, right? So you're helping them by using, again, another tool. Yes, I know, on the internet and computer, but it's another tool that you can use, and it's fillable. It's something you can give to the vet to take to their doctor. It helps them explain it, and it helps make the process more streamlined. So I can't emphasize this enough. This is another one of those, Billy, that when we talk, we should probably have a link straight to it so you guys can pull it right up for your vets.
Yeah, I
Okay.
actually have that one. That was something that Victor gave us as homework. So.
Okay. Perfect. Victor, how could you? No. All right. So I could go through a lot of the other disability benefits questionnaires, but the bottom line, they're all pretty much the same. They're written in VA language terms to where you, like I said, if you have a musculoskeletal injury, instead of them looking at pain, they're looking at range of motion, which is important. If you have a mental health issue, they're going to be asking questions about your sleeping habits, your eating habits, your personal hygiene habits, your suicidal, homicidal ideation. Do you get what I'm saying? I mean, if you go into the Part 4 of 38 Code of Federal Regulation, it's all the language that's in there to help making rate the claims easier. Again, on the flip side, like I said, there is some drawbacks to it. But to me personally, what they've done here is more beneficial than it is drawback. Because guess what? If I, as a veteran service officer, feel somebody's been rated at 30 when they should have been 50, then you know what? I need to be smart enough to go out and make sure that that vet has medical evidence that shows they should have been at 50. Do you see what I'm saying? And by the way, just to be clear on this, you'll have vets that do this. Well, I've been fighting this claim for 2 years. And they rated me at 30, and they said I'm not suicidal, homicidal, right, as an example. I sure am. I just told my doctor last week I am. Okay, the first question I ask is, do you have medical evidence that says 2 years ago you were there? And if they go, well, no, I didn't have those problems 2 years ago. It wasn't until just recently. Then guess what? We're not talking about they made a bad decision. We're talking about we need to ask for an increase of your claim. See what I'm saying? Now, if there was medical evidence 2 years ago, what do you think my next question is? Anybody? Where is the documentation? And what else? Did you submit it to the VA? It's not good enough that you have documentation if it hasn't. It's the piece of paper that's sitting over here that's filled out that hasn't been submitted to the VA, right? Okay, so sometimes there's that education piece with our veterans, right? It's that you may feel this way. You are justified in the sense of how you feel. Everybody could feel how they want, right? But are you justified in legal terms? Does it suffice what the VA needs to do that next level increased benefits? Okay?
Is there time limits on increased level benefits?
So the question was asked, is there a time limit on increased level benefits? The answer is no. You can ask for an increase of benefits your entire claim history. So the VA doesn't like this, but you could get a claim awarded, and then 2 weeks later say, no, I believe since I've been awarded the claim, my benefits have gotten worse. The VA typically doesn't like you doing that, but you could do it as long as you have the evidence to show that it's gotten worse.
Does it have to be within 1 year?
No, it doesn't even have to be within 1 year. There's no timeline on increase.
5 years down the road?
It could be 20 years down the road. I know people that started out with 10% disabilities, right, on their back, and 20 years they were fine, you know. But then all of a sudden at 50, age catches up with them, hard work, whatever it may be, and now their back's hurting a lot more, and I'm filing an increased claim on their back, and I now get them 40 or 60%. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, there's no time limit on asking for increases. The only time, and there's really no time limit on asking for a disability claim. It's how the effective date works. Now, I'm going to throw a little twist in there, and then I know we've got about 5 minutes, and then I want to open for questions and then wrap it up. But a little twist in there. You're going to be working with vets who've recently been discharged from the military. Okay? Something you need to understand. With vets who've been recently discharged from the military, if they filed their VA disability claim, informal, you know, that one-page letter, or a formalized claim, doesn't matter which one, within 1 year from the date of their discharge, okay? Not the first of the month following their discharge, but the date of their discharge. They will have their claim backdated for the entire year. And it will be backdated to the first of the month following the date they left. Why is that important? It's important because if you're a young soldier being a stubborn goat, not wanting to file your claim because you're not as bad as the next guy, you just screwed yourself out of a year's worth of benefits. And that's exactly how I word it to a lot of my young vets who are waiting to file their benefits. Well, it may affect my National Guard duty, or it may affect, I understand that. But how's it going to affect you when you're 60? Don't wait till you're 60 to file the claim. It's even harder. Just go ahead and file it now. You know, if you're going to stay in the National Guard for the rest of your life, okay, fine, but you're only messing yourself out of your worth of benefits. I feel the need to educate veterans on that because I don't want to harm them. I want them to know what they're doing. And I've had several that have went away for a few months, come back and go, you know what, Gus, now that I've de-escalated, now that I've come back to civilian life and I'm realizing and things are starting to settle in my life, I'm realizing that I probably should file a claim. Can you help me with that? And then we go forward, okay? So it's a little jewel in there. There's several other little jewels I could give you, but frankly, I don't have enough time for all those jewels. So one thing...
Two jewels
Okay.
for you.
All right.
Because this is important, then you get to do your thing.
Yes.
I have a question. One is evidence. We talked about evidence. Gus has been talking about evidence. I want this to be understood because it's very important. When the VA sends for your medical records, or any soldier's medical records, the VA is sending for your medical file. That medical file does not include hospital records. Hospital chart notes that when you were in the hospital are not in that medical file. You have to go to the hospital to get those records. If that hospital is closed or you have not seen that hospital for 20 years, those records are then transferred to Kansas City and they are kept in a separate place. So you have to know the date, the month, and the year you were in the hospital for them to go to the archives and dig them up. Those are important records because you say you broke your hand, you went straight to the hospital in the emergency room, you stayed in the hospital 5 days, but you got out, they took the splint off and sent you back to full duty. You may have not went to your clinic. So that hand may not show up in your medical records, but it's in a hospital record. We have to make sure those veterans know that so they can order those records. Two, all VSOs tell you when you fill out the forms, I've sat in them. A lot of you guys have sat in meetings. Don't worry about your records. The VA will send for them.
No.
VSOs tell you that continually. Once you fill out your claim, don't worry about your records. The VS will send for them. When we're filing a claim for a veteran, we're helping a veteran. Let's give them the information. It's in the front cover. Have them order their DD-214, their certified copies. They'll get 3. Have them order their personnel file and have them order their medical jacket. And then any hospital records. Make sure that they order them so they can get a copy. If they've never done it, they've been denied on claims. This is something that I like to do because you don't know where things are at. Order the C file so we can help the veteran properly. So the veteran can now have that C file on hand. We cannot represent a veteran in an appeal. We're not certified. But that doesn't mean that if a veteran asks you to go because they trust you and be support, you can do that. I've been with several of you to your appeals, and I was there more of moral support than anything else. And it's helped the veteran through it. You're more than welcome to do it if the veteran asks you. But you're not there to advocate or be a legal representative.
When I filed for mine, all I filed for was medic on the form, you know, when we did pull the form off that.
That's right.
But there was nothing that indicated clinical on that form,
That
other than the word other.
Those are your clinical forms. Under other, that's where you order your hospital records.
Yeah, that I was not told, that I was not told to do. Didn't know that, so I got lucky, but.
They don't tell you.
I know, but I mean, when we went through it, it's just one issue that when we talked with Kim over here, then she said you need to make sure medical and clinical and
Hospital
hospital.
and clinic.
So,
So it's good, when you look at a form, you gotta look at that carefully.
Right.
If you get one of the forms, you're talking to your VA.
Right.
I mean, a veteran.
okay, so one thing I'm going to do real quick as a closing note, and then I do have a presentation for everybody here. Victor mentioned National Archives or your military records, medical records, and Dave, I don't know if you've got a good screenshot of that or not. Okay. Perfect. The National Archives has a spot on their website where you can actually request vet records. Okay? And that's right here. It's called Request Records Online with eVetRecs. This is your service medical records, not the hospital records he was talking about. This is the service medical records, service personnel records, a copy of the medals. If you never got issued your medals or you've lost your medals or ribbons or any of that stuff, you can request that here too, okay? Sometimes what you're going to do is for a little old widow, you're going to request a new set of medals for her husband of 50 years. You are a hero. You know what I mean? And if you have the money or you have somebody who has the money, when you get those medals, I don't care if it's 2 medals. You want to be a stud in their eyes or a studette? Go get it put in a shadow box and present it to them. That will make them be your, I mean, it's like pudding. I'm going to just say that. I've done it enough times, and it's just a great way to honor, especially a widow. But it's this website here, and I know Billy's writing notes, so we'll probably get this as one of those links to give you guys. Easy to do, easy to submit. Once you put all the stuff on electronically, it'll ask you to print, sign, and fax a particular form. Okay? Now, this one, I would venture to say, because you're not releasing any medical information to anybody, that you could help the vet a little bit more with this one in the submission process. Okay? And it might be that you start the vet out on something like this because it's so simple compared to the other forms that they get comfortable with this, that when you get to Vaughn app, they've got a comfort level on using government forms. Do you see what I'm saying? So again, it's that tool process. Okay? So, I know you guys would like to ask questions about this, but at this point, I'm going to go ahead and end the training. We're about 30 minutes over. I do appreciate it, but I do want to do one thing before we end the training. So I'm going to push this chair back here real quick. So everybody who's been in the military here is familiar with military challenge coins, right? How many people have received one in the military at some point in your life? Okay. So I brought something with me today to do 2 things. 1, to honor you guys as individual veterans, and 2, to honor you individuals who are not veterans as well in the room, and veterans, because of the service that you're continuing to do to your country by helping your brother and sister. I brought with me Oregon State's first and only military challenge coin. So I'd like to give each one of you one of these. And these were specifically designed to honor veterans for their service to our country. And I have my bag, so I have to look at my bag here. Cool. And get a couple more here real quick. Not a problem. Uh-oh. Ah, I do. I had them in 2 different spots. Here we go. Good. There you go. Yeah. And I want to apologize in advance. I know that the proper way to do this is the way that I'm going to do this with Victor here. But I want to thank you all for letting me at least give you those. Victor, here you go, my friend. Thank you. All right. Now, I have a charge for you guys. Take the information you've learned today and go out and teach 10 more people. Go out and help 10 more people get what they deserve for their service to our country. Take the challenge coin, show them. And you know, I'm going to tell you, I'm very prideful of what Oregon State University's done. So it's not going to hurt my feelings any if you pull out one of those challenge coins one of these days in front of a young lad or young lady and say, you know what, if you want a school that really supports our country in the way that they support veterans, here might be a school you want to check out. They have a great veterinary program. They have a great forestry program. They have individuals that are willing to help students in general be successful. And Victor, I know you know this firsthand because doesn't your daughter, right?
My wife retired from Oregon State
Right.
University, and my daughter's been there 18 years.
Right. So, I mean, I can't emphasize that enough. And maybe it's a plug for them. Shameless plug, sorry. But, no, I'm not sorry. Who am I kidding? But really what I want to make sure that the message emphasized, though, is that what Victor's always emphasized to you guys all along, is that we are here to help you to help others. And you're going to have my contact information. I know Billy's going to light me up on the internet and on the web. Don't hesitate to get a hold of me.
Yeah,
Grab one of
no
my
idea.
business cards. Send people my way. I don't care where they're going to school. I don't care what their need is. If I'm not the final answer, I'll get them the final answer.
Do you have more cards with you?
What's at that corner right there?
That's all you have to do.
I have some other ones that are misprinted. I'll give them to you because I have good contact information. Just don't laugh at the fact that it says deemed instead of deemed. How's that
You know
sound?
why he's digging for those? You know, he's done an excellent job. And you know, I appreciate Gus because Gus is a stand-up guy. He comes out here whenever I call him. He called me last night. His bronchitis was acting up and didn't think he was going to be able to talk. And I said, Gus, marine up. and he's here. Let's give Gus a big hand for what he's doing and how he's helping everybody. You know, this is what it's all about, is the dedication we have. Now, we got to remember that we're going to be calling on you to do a program at OSU here eventually. Gus will organize that and get a hold of us. Remember the 13th, we have a meeting, December 13th. That's a board meeting. One of the things I want to do is for everybody in the room so you all can see. I want the board members that are here stand up. These are 4 of the 7 board members. I'm 5. 2 of them are not here today that are on the board of directors for Vets Helping Vets HQ. And I want you to all take a look because these are the ones you want to get a hold of when you want to present a program or an idea or something that you want to bring forth that maybe can help Vets Helping Vets grow. So they're all available. They're from Eugene, Veneta, Albany, Springfield, Lapine, Eastern Oregon. I'm hoping that here after the first of the year, sometime in early spring, I'm going to put a charge on Steve, that you put together a program over there that we can come over and teach for a day. And possibly, if we extend it out long enough into the spring, possibly we can get Gus to come and help do the seminar and teach. Is that possible, Gus?
We will definitely have to look at dates, yeah.
So if you could start working on that, Gus, to make that, or Steve, to make that happen, you'll have support from the Valley here, and because we do want to extend Vets Helping Vets HQ over there. And again, I want to thank everybody for coming. You've all been wonderful. Thank you for your patience, and we overrun a half hour.
Thank you.
But I hope it was good for everybody.
It was. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.